Big exciting news for your evenings, as all indications from Wall Street says that the stock market will open up severely down tomorrow as amid new COVID-19 cases going through the roof. This seems to be the impetus and the reason for the president to do executive orders, because the stock market is going to look at the new numbers. 87,000 new COVID-19 cases per day, the highest number in a long time. This is amid four people of Mike Pence's staff contracting COVID-19 overnight, and shocking remarks by Mark Meadows about that we're not going to control the pandemic under a second Trump administration. Really shocking news. As the market falls, will Trump realize that executive orders for stimulus relief is needed now? The Purple Power is stepping up. The Purple Power Caucus is focusing on both executive orders and focusing on stimulus relief legislatively, whether Trump or Biden wins, or McConnell stays, or the Senate goes Democratic. Big developments, great news, and refocusing on an exciting evening of Sunday evenings LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm here, you're here, and the Dodgers are in the World Series, and I hope you're doing great. I'm wearing Dodger blue, and we are all revigorated, encouraged, positive, focused, and pushing. As now the Purple Power Caucus, hashtag Purple Power FPUC, Purple Power Check, and Purple Power Hazard Pay are realigned and getting loud and focused for your second stimulus relief, despite what happens on election night. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe, because no one's making things clear and easier and more coherent to understand amid a lot of chaos in Washington. And also like this video. Tonight I have a lot of breaking details in this video. Boy, the stuff is hitting like a brick tonight. First, Mike Pence's staff, 4 members contracted COVID-19 in the last few hours, and Mike Pence will not quarantine and may not even wear a mask, but will be attending rallies today, tomorrow, and the day after. Next, the number of COVID-19 cases announced on Friday and Saturday reached 83,000 per day, passing the previous record of 77,000 last seen in July. It's not just a number of health, it's a number of economics. Wall Street is crashing right now. The Dow futures, which indicates where the market will open tomorrow, down 100 points. Is this something that will wake up the president to stimulus relief? Because the president looks at the stock market. Next, Mark Meadows spoke minutes ago about COVID and said, we're never going to control the pandemic. We'll just let it go. And we're just going to, just do what we can do, and we're not going to focus on it. This also is not rubbing Wall Street and the financials correctly and saying, wait, you're sort of treating COVID like you're treating our stimulus. It's much of, well, yeah, okay. It's times like this that the Purple Power needs to step up, and we are stepping up. So let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that despite what happens on election night, despite what happens in the presidency on election night, and despite what happens in the Senate on election night, the Purple Power is focusing right now to the days after the election. What I detailed throughout this day, and I think everyone got it because I made it sort of simple and basic, is that you will not see legislative action by a bill that becomes a law before election night. There's no way to have it happen. Why? Because you need the House and the Senate to be open. And guess what? They're both closed. Well, the House is closed now. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to tell you that. She wants you to assume that's sort of open and everyone's really working really hard and crushing the virus. Well, they're not crushing anything. They're crushing the vacation is what they're crushing. They're all at home except the subcommittees or people that are, appearing on talk shows, with a mask, dress, outfit, ensemble. And the Senate will close tomorrow. The Senate will close tomorrow after the Baird nominations, and Nancy Pelosi will presumably slam the Senate for closing because of no COVID-19 relief. Of course, it takes one to know one. Her House has been closed for several days. This is that factor. The second factor is that executive orders have been the push of this channel and continue to be the push of this channel to the very last day of election night. And tonight, there's new indications that suggest that maybe the president may wake up, and the wake-up call may be the crashing stock market. We've always talked about how it seems almost disingenuous. It seems out of touch that the president thinks that he needs to do things only when the stock market's down, that he only wakes up and gauges the economy, not based upon whether you're homeless, not based upon whether you are unemployed, but based upon whether Ford or GM or Walmart are trading up. And that is apparently what will happen tomorrow. The Dow futures, minutes ago, in a new report issued just in the last few minutes, are way down. The Dow Industrial Average futures are down 100 points, indicating a loss of 140 points in Monday's open. That would bring them down about 0.4%. This is in reaction to the COVID-19 news. The COVID-19 news are not good. 83,000 new infections on both Friday and Saturday. This is especially in the Sunbelt states, which are the swings, which include some swing states, surpassing a previous record of 77,000 cases in July, according to Johns Hopkins University, cited by CNBC. The issue is that, as you've seen with me in the reporting of this channel, is that no president has ever won a second term if the stock market is collectively down both the month of September and October before election night. Now, the stock market has been up in September, but will this be the push? Mark Bailey, a chief market strategist of Middletown Bank, said in a statement minutes ago that based upon the action of the stock market we've seen over the past 2 weeks, new news could fuel a significant decline over the next week and a half. Is this the new news? Is this the impetus that wakes the president up to do executive orders? The question is whether or not this is enough. Mark Meadows, chief of staff to Donald Trump, the guy who wore the purple tie, the guy who said finish line in front of us, the guy who said her way or highway, the guy who keeps on repeating the expressions of this channel as much as Nancy Pelosi today, who said moving the goalposts, which is my old Javita Carranza line, he gave a comment today, and Wall Street was not excited about it. We're not going to control the pandemic, said Meadows. Excuse me? We are not going to control the pandemic. That remark did not resonate well with a lot of financial analysts. And this is causing concern that perhaps the president won't do anything with COVID in the next term. This is the president who overnight said that we're rounding the corner. And the question is, if the president doesn't take COVID-19 seriously, will he take stimulus seriously? Many, including myself, believe that the fall in the crash in the stock market may wake the president up for executive orders. This, ironically, may be a big twist. As I've been detailing for several weeks on this channel, that ultimately when you see good economic news, that causes Larry Kudlow and Pete Navarro to say to the president, you know what, we don't need stimulus. Everything's doing really well. But if the stock market's down and down severely, for whatever reason it is, that may be the wake-up call for executive orders. This is incredibly great news. This might be the final push to wake the president up for executive orders. He has $800 billion he can send out for stimulus checks. It would amount to $4,000 for stimulus checks. You would get it in 10 days after he announces the executive order. This is categorically also incredible, great news. He has an additional $200 billion also sitting around he could do for FPUC extension under the LWA executive order he already has. This is also incredible, great news. He has the legal authority, he can do it, and he should do it. There's been a lot of false narratives all over the place. I've seen them on Twitter, I've seen them on Facebook, I've seen them on this channel, I've had to delete them, that the president can't do executive orders. Untrue. That the president has been told by his buddy with the golf club that has one leg and an pointed nose that he can't do executive orders. No, just untrue. The president can do executive orders. He's done it before, and he would do it again. The question is when and how. This is where Purple Power has to push. Executive orders, seats for stimulus, MSC, and I am valued. The big push. But the even bigger push that I started this morning is absolutely heating up. I think we're at, 400,000 people now participating in the viewership of this channel's push for the Purple Power Caucus just today. If you don't know, this channel does about 2 million views a day. And so the push is absolutely insanely positive. This is where we are. There are 3 caucuses that you need to choose where you want to be aligned with. You can be aligned with all 3 of them. These are divisions of Purple Power. If you want to push for Purple Power stimulus, get on Twitter and hashtag Purple Power Check, all one word. If you want to be aligned with the Purple Power Caucus for FPUC, get on Twitter and do hashtag Purple Power FPUC. Do the same thing on Facebook. Also, if you want to be involved with the caucus for hazard pay, hashtag Purple Power Hazard Pay, all one word. What this does is it starts the narrative between you and fellow members of Purple Power. You find one another, and then from there you start to tweet and retweet each other's comments and opinions about how much money. For example, how much FPUC per week? $400 a week? No, $450 a week. Okay, when are we retroactive? Late July? Well, late August. Okay, well, when are we going FPUC 2? Mid-January? No, early February. And from there, you start to create a narrative. You start to create a discussion of where the grassroots efforts should be. With that, then you start to retweet each other, and you start to continue the message. And then you start tagging the politicians. But you're not done there. At that point, you get ready now for what's going to happen after election night. We don't do this after election night. We do this now and get our army ready for what happens after election night. Because ultimately what's going to happen is some people are going to be gone eventually in January if they lost, and new people are going to come in. The new people coming in are going to want to pass a lot of laws, and the people are going to leave are going to want to do anything. And what's important to understand is that we are going to get stimulus. You categorically are going to get stimulus. This is what's incredible great news. But the question is, how much stimulus? As I said in a video earlier today, everything's on the table? No, the table's not even in the room anymore. We're bringing the table in the room. So if you like Ethan Allen, call up the phone. We're bringing the table in the room and putting hazard pay back on the table, putting FPUC that we want on the table retroactively the way we want, or as I said, radioactively the way we want. We're putting stimulus checks radioactively the way we want on the table. And we're saying this is what's sufficient. What you've been offering has not been sufficient, and we're not going to go with that silliness. And this is what's incredible great news. What's important to understand is that everything will change after election night. And as you've seen in the positivity and the incredible response that we've seen in the channel today, is that one, you, I, everyone across the board and everyone over there has absolutely no ideas what's going to happen after election night. We just don't know. I've been detailing the permutations and the variations of what could happen. The Senate goes this way, the president goes that way. There's a contested election, there's not a contested election. It's too difficult to predict. So that anyone who sits back and says, I can tell you exactly what's happened after election night, and this is what's going to happen. You just come on. Sorry, that's like predicting Nancy Pelosi's hairstyle 2 weeks from now. Well, actually, no, that one's easy to predict. It's going to be the same one. You can't predict it. So we're not going to predict it. What we're going to do is drive our fate. We're going to define our fate by getting organized and saying, hey, this is the amount of money we want. Then, from there, we approach the congressional leaders and say, you know what, we're part of the Purple Power Caucus, we're part of the FPUC Caucus, we're part of the Hazard Pay Caucus. We think that in the negotiations, you should be doing this. Does it sound familiar? It should. This channel has done it before. I did it before with EIDL loans. My wonderful viewers, I saw your comments throughout the day, said, I've been watching you, dude, since day one. You've done this before, and you did it very well. I appreciate those comments. There was a point during the EIDL process, EIDL loans from SBA, CARES Act 1, that we were hitting a wall. We couldn't get over the wall. We were blocked. And so what I did was, you know what? We're going to mobilize and we're going to start contacting congressmen. I went through a whole list of congressmen to contact. I said, you contact your 2 senators, your 2 representatives. We did a whole thing. Bottom line is, we not only broke down the wall, we ran past the wall, and everyone got all their money. It was as simple as that. So being loud, vocalize, organize, and inform is working and will work. as you sit here today, what's going on with the White House? I mean, it's just a mess. Vice President Mike Pence will not quarantine himself despite 4 of his aides testing positive for COVID-19. His chief of staff, Mark Short, his senior political advisor, and 2 additional other people. Pence will hold rallies in Kingston, North Carolina tonight, and he'll be face to face and shaking hands with people. Meantime, these COVID-19 cases are really bad. Steve Mnuchin said on Friday that Speaker Nancy Pelosi is still dug in, and then the issues are not resolved. If you did not watch McConnell versus Trump or Pelosi versus Mnuchin, there's no agreement on any of these deal provisions. So that's incredible, great news for us. They have not reached an agreement on FPUC. She confirmed that in an interview Sunday. He confirmed that in an interview Friday. Then there's no agreement on stimulus checks. There's no agreement on hazard pay because it's been removed. So this is a perfect introduction for us, because guess what? If you have no agreement, we're going to tell you where to agree on it. Then Meadows' remarks. His remarks are just a little bit surprising. Meadows was asked why Donald Trump's large rallies over the weekend, attendees did not have masks. He said, "We live in a free society." This wasn't a slip by Meadows. It was a candid acknowledgement of what President Trump's strategy has been from the beginning of this crisis, to wave the right flag of defeat and hope that by ignoring it, the virus would simply go away. It hasn't, and it won't, says Joe Biden. The White House accused Biden of armchair quarterbacking and said Meadows was pushing back on unsustainable, impractical nationwide quarantine policies advocated by Democrats. The question is, however, and I'm not going to ignore this and push this under the floor, under the carpet. It's under the carpet, dude. It's not under the floor. Is that what's going to happen? Will there be another series of lockdowns? Some of my viewers are still on lockdown. Some of my viewers are not on lockdown. Clearly, it's not here on lockdown in Los Angeles, but certain businesses are unable to have inside operations. Will there be lockdowns in the coming weeks? There could very well be. The COVID-19 cases continue to rise. There could be lockdowns. And all this does not bode well for the president. But with 8 days to go, or 9 days to go before the election, I don't think you're going to see changes in lockdowns. It's those changes in the lockdowns after election night that will change the discourse of the stimulus relief. Because remember, you were owed multiple stimulus checks for the first lockdown. And this time, no one's going to stand around and say, you know what, here's one check for a lockdown for 3 months from November, December, and January. No, they're not. We're smarter than that now. Incredible comments from last night. Let me go over them. And please join me next for Purple Power. Big developments on that. We the people have to have our say, says Deborah Bradshaw. We will not be closed. Scott Kyle. Soon, no one will be able to afford to eat in restaurants or so fly. Stephanie Lott, this is absurd. Mitch is a joke. Cynthia, what a jerk McConnell is. Elaine, I could care less about that judge or whatever her name is trying to get her voted in. What about people's stimulus money? Elaine Walton's comment is exactly the comment of all Americans, including myself, that 63% of Americans polled by CNBC on Friday said, why are you doing a Supreme Court nominee? We need our stimulus check before a Supreme Court nominee. Alchemy Jackson, all we can do is go to Kentucky and vote Mitch out. As I detailed in the McConnell versus Trump video, it's not so much McConnell's reelection, it's whether the Senate goes Republican or Democratic. Jack Ramirez, why are they still paying taxes? Deborah, once again, our elected people have proven to be greedy, rich. They just like to hear themselves talk. Pelosi. Chris Eman, maybe if someone put in a raise for Congress the next stimulus, they would pretend they cared about us and vote them out. I love that. Jerome Bell, Purple Power, rock and roll. Amen, baby. If you have questions in today's video, drop them in the comments below. Coming up next is Purple Power. And then early morning to LALATE. Bombshell and great. A lot of fun. It's one of the blockbusters of this channel now. Every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to the front of the channel, subscribe. Make subscribe so you can subscribe and hit the alert button. There's a subscribe and there's an alert button so you can alert when a new video goes live. There's a lot of videos in a day. If a video's delayed, you can alert that the video's coming out then so you don't miss a video because things are just moving by the minute. Also, like this video. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay about life for more.